let's talk a little bit about managing windows when you are doing a Google Meet. For me, this is how I use it so that it's a little more efficient for me, and it helps me be a better presenter while I'm presenting. So a couple of tips. First tip is pull away your Google Meet tab. That way you have several different things going. So right now, I'm going to move this window so you see how I have my Google Meet. Now I know that you can't see my camera, but my camera is right above my monitor. So what I like to do is put my Google Meet window as close to that camera as possible so that I'm reminding myself to look up and be engaged with the camera. And I like to make my Google Meet window pretty small. Now, even though I may have a lot of people in my call with me, if I have this grid view extension on, I'm seeing the boxes of people. Now, I only have one more attendee in this call to kind of just simulate this, but if I had more, yes, they would be smaller. I might make my tab a little longer depending, but it just helps me to focus on the other things I need to keep in mind when I'm doing a presentation through Google Meet. So after I've kind of welcomed everyone, I've got my screen away, and the next thing that I'm going to focus on is presenting. So if I go to the Present Now tab, I have to decide what I want to do, and I'll tell you, for me, I prefer to do a Chrome tab because sometimes I'm going to share some audio, and that's the best way to share audio, or if you're showing videos or simulations, and that's just the way that I find it's easier for the participant to view, because I have a really large monitor. If my window's really small and I have it set to entire screen, they're seeing a bunch of screen they don't need in this tiny little window. So I like to choose Chrome tab. So I'm going to share this Wakelet collection. So it's going to give me, like, what of all these things you have open, what is it that you want to share? So I'm going to pick what it is. I'm going to make sure share audio is selected, especially if I'm going to use something with audio, and I'm going to click share. Now here's why I love this method with the Google Meet grid extension. So I have right now myself in the grid, which is reminding me, hey, you're on camera, make sure you interact, because people may be looking at you, but I also am able to see my presentation. And if you haven't watched the video on how to use the Grid Meet extension, that was set by going into the advanced settings, and I say always show the presentation. This also reminds me of this. So I'm going to make this window small again so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm doing a presentation. Here's my Meet tab. I want you to see that here I have this tab showing. I can see it showing there as well. If I move to another tab, so if I go to a separate tab, so for example, let's say I open a new tab and I want to go somewhere, I see here is not the same thing as what you're seeing here. And that's because I only chose to share a tab. Now I am indicated here, do you want to share this tab instead? And I could say, oh, sorry, let me share this tab with you really quick. And now I'm saying, oh, look, this window is the same as what this window is. And if I want to go back and share that one, I just hop to that tab and press that button. But what's great about this is the people on the participant side are getting a larger view of this window. They're not having to see all my giant screen. They're not having to see themselves. A lot of times people share their whole screen and then they are sharing their Meet screen, so they're seeing themselves on camera, and then they become so obsessed with seeing themselves on the video that they lose focus. So what you'll want to do is really make sure that we're not sharing the Google Meet window within Google Meet, because they don't need to see that. They just really need to see what's important, which is the presenter, the other participants, and whatever it is that's being presented. So this is one thing that I like to do. Then what happens is sometimes I have things that I want to, other things I want to see, like notes for presenting. So if I have something that I want to have over, I can then have multiple tabs going at the same time. So this isn't really my notes, but I'm showing you I'm on camera. you're seeing my presentation screen, but over here I got some cheat sheets. So this is a great way to make sure that you're having windows open and using the screen real estate more efficiently so that you can do a really good presentation when you're doing a virtual meeting. So tip 1, pull that Meet tab off of your main window. Put it towards the top of your camera so you're constantly reminded to look up and make eye contact since there's not a human being standing there. Then you'll want to share a tab if you're doing a presentation because that's going to give them the clearest, largest view. Also, if you're showing them something like a Google Doc, make sure it's, it fits to the screen instead of a really narrow view. And then if you have cheat sheets, notes, sticky notes, whatever, digital notes, you can pull those over to the side and they'll never need to worry about that because they're not seeing that. You're seeing it, but they're not. So just a few little tips of how to make your Google Meet a little more effective by using some strategies of pulling tabs away, sharing tabs, and making the best of your screen.